Hello, my grade 1 mathematicians, and welcome back to Maths with Mr. Howard. And we're working on halves again today, making equal halves collection. So on Monday, we were working on finding things around our house, things from our everyday lives that we can make halves out of. And then yesterday, we were working on having a collection of objects. We had teddy bears, and we separated the teddy bears into two equal halves. And today, we're going to be practicing something very similar, but we're going to be using a different strategy to be creating our two separate halves. So you just watched a video, and in that video, they showed you the method that I used yesterday when we have a collection and we slowly take one out, put them into two groups one at a time. That's what we did yesterday. Today we're going to be using a different method, and it's actually really quite helpful. And so this is really good because we can practice using counters to help us answer a mathematics question. So for our example, our question could be, imagine if somebody asked you, let's do a tricky one. What is half of 14? Half of 14? That's really tricky, isn't it? That's really tricky to work out. But we can use our counters to help us. So first step 1, we need 14 counters. So pick a color and put 14 in the middle. So I'm going to do green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We got 14 counters. Now, yesterday what we did was we split them into two groups. So I was one at a time, I would drag one to this corner, and then I'd drag one to the other corner as well. But today we're going to be doing something different. We're going to do what we saw that they just did in the video that we just watched. That was making groups of two. Let's see how that works. Take 2 up the top. There's our first group of 2. Take 2 more. There's our second group of 2. We keep going like that, making groups of 2 until we run out of counters. So we have 1. This is a group of 2. We have another group of 2. How many groups of 2 do we have? So we have 1 group of 2. 2 is our number 1 group. This is 2 groups of 2. 3 groups of 2. 4 groups of 2. 5 groups of 2. 6 groups of 2. 7 groups of 2. So the first number we started with, we had 14 counters, didn't we? And the question was, what is half of 14? Well, we can see right here, it's 7. And you can look because each row here is half of our counters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 is the answer to our question. So if I gave you another number, let's say your number was 20, and I said, what's half of 20? Well, you could put 20 counters into the middle here, and then keep making groups of 2 until you run out of counters, and then count your groups of 2, then that will be your answer to the question. So you can work out what half of something is using this method, or you can use the method we used yesterday when you made 2 groups and one at a time you put each number in. But again today, we're practicing making halves out of a number. And we're using the counters to help us do that. Half of a number is actually really the same as asking, what is half of my collection of counters? So what I want you to do, guys, is I put some numbers into the Google Classroom, and I want you to use these colored counters to help you work out what half of each of those numbers is, okay? All right, guys, have fun.